Whew, boy. Good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here. And let's wake up the football gods on this Sunday without Dallas Cowboy football. What are you doing today without the Dallas Cowboys playing? Me, I'm just going to still be here streaming because every week, every game has importance to the NFL season. We have today at 1 o'clock, we have the Commanders with the left hand up going against the New York Giants. The New York Giants, of course, trying to save their season. I don't know if Daniel Jones, who has not practiced all week, will be playing, but I have a feeling that he won't be. And this could be the end of the Giants season right here. It's on the line. Now, if that's the case, the question will they be looking to trade maybe Saquon Barkley? That's another discussion for a little bit later. But we'll see what happens there. And then, of course, the night game, we'll find out which team is for real, which is the contender and which is the pretender. You can look at the Eagles and say they've been winning, except against the Jets. You know, a team that stinks. The Jets are awful. At least when the Cowboys beat them, the Jets are nobodies. They beat the Eagles. Well, they're the best defense in football. But you know how that goes, don't you, Kimberly Martin? Kimberly Martin, no, you know Dak. Yeah, Dak, the man who made you with that first interview that you got. But be that as it may, we'll find out if the Eagles are for real going against a great offense and a really good quarterback. Or we'll find out if the Miami Dolphins are really good and they have a great quarterback. And, of course, Tyreek Hill. That I am truly looking forward to. So we're going to start live streaming at 1 o'clock, and we're going to go through the day. We'll probably have my man Game Time Brian joining us at some point today as well. And I think Rashid may be coming over to spend some time with us. So we're going to have a good time here, of course, at Joe Boo Sports Report. One of the things that's become controversial is the push in the tush. Actually, I think that's been controversial for a long time. But the brotherly love shove, the push in the tush. Rich Eisen was talking about this and thinking that it needs to be banned because the Eagles, of course, have an unfair advantage over the NFL. They came up with something new. Now, is this like the head slap of Deacon Jones, where Deacon Jones would literally slap the shit out of somebody's head, going past to get a sack, the man who coined the term sack? Let's listen real quick to Rich Eisen, and we'll comment on his thoughts on this. Of course, Dak said, I didn't get pushed in the tush enough.
Automatic for them, and it's being discussed by the competition committee in their meetings. And they got, as you know, I think it looks ugly, and I know that's not a metric, but it looks like rugby. It looks ugly. You can't tell. Right. You cannot tell whose knee is down when and where the ball stopped. You can't. It does create a gray area to make it tough to officiate and spot, which I think does help the offensive team trying to get the first down.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got an almost 100% success rate
for the Eagles.
For Philadelphia. It's tough to see anybody else attempt it and be successful at it, which is amazing. Your Cowboys tried it the other night.
I was like, we should have Mozzie in there. Put Mozzie in the backfield.
And it was terrible. It was awful.
It was 4th and short. They didn't make it.
And it was clear, like that one. That's the other thing, too. Like, if you're going to make it work, you got to have people jump on top of your quarterback while pushing him so you don't see if he's made it. You just see the full momentum.
Yeah, you can't mark the ball.
Dak was asked about it in his final question of his press conference Sunday night. Here was his response.
What happened on the tush-push play?
They didn't push my tush enough. No, just didn't get it, honestly. Yeah, just didn't get it. Wish we did. Obviously, that would turn into more points, but yeah. Let's get a new name for that.
That's funny.
Again, I don't like it.
The name
And
of
I know
the play.
I don't like the TP. I won't say it.
You know who should trademark that?
Well, Charmin or whatever. Sure, I get it.
The tush push.
In terms of why it only works for Philadelphia, I'll say this.
They have Jason Kelce?
In the broadcast. Hold on a second. In the broadcast meeting with the Ravens in London, I had one last question of John Harbaugh, and I'm like, is there anything going on that you know? I mean, he's 16 years in the league, man. Belichick's the only Belichick, and I think Tomlin. I think Tomlin's been there 16 years too. I think they started the same year. Did they? At any rate, he's been there a long time. Belichick's only longer, maybe Tomlin. So I asked him, I'm like, anything over the first 5 weeks that you've noticed is a new trend or something going on? I gave him a total macro question, which, to be honest, I'm sure, in day 4 of being in London and him having to go to a walkthrough was the last thing he wanted to, get deep in on. Mm-hmm. And he basically said, no, not really. And I asked him, what about this brotherly shove? And I'm like, why do you think it works so well for Philadelphia? And his answer was Kelce. He said Jason Kelce. Mm-hmm. Now, he said his center, Trevor Lindenbaum, can do it as well. Like, I think he made sure, because he wanted to make sure this sort of stuff is not going to be used against him by the media in any way, shape, or form. Sure. But Kelce can get low, and he can push. He's going to the Hall of Fame, this guy. And I think this is one of the many reasons why Dan Orlovsky on ESPN was asked who's the MVP of non-quarterbacks in the NFL, and he said Kelce. He said Kelce.
Wow.
And, obviously you can have an argument on this front, but he said Kelce. And so and he also, John Harbaugh also said it helps to have your quarterback 240 pounds as well. Mm-hmm. So Kelce and Hurts, and then you could see how they run it. You look at like we're showing it against the Chiefs right here. I guess that was in the Super Bowl. Yeah, you could see how Kelce's low, and the rest of it's like low man wins, and Hurts is getting pushed by Gainwell, and Goddard's in there.
Who's back there?
Is that Johnson? That's Lane Johnson on the right side. I mean, you got great guys who are doing it.
Yeah. I'm not sure how
but I just don't like people shoving other people. It sucked when USC did it, and honestly, that's my problem with it. Jerry Jones at the owners' meeting just yesterday, or is it today? Last 24 hours. He likes to play.
I like it when they push in the tush.
Your thoughts on the tush push?
Well, I was surprised. I'm all for it, and I like to play. I think Dak is an excellent sneaker. And I was just surprised that we were stopped. And but I completely agreed with that's the play to run.
But you're okay with the play in general? There's a lot of talk about that with the competition committee with the way Philly has perfected it. You like it?
No, I'm okay with it. Okay. I like to play. I think there's a place for the play, and I think you've got some options that run off where people talk about the injury to the quarterback. Well, do the tush push with somebody other than the starting quarterback under center.
Yeah, I mean they did they did in London, Baltimore run Mark Andrews under center.
Yep.
And he took a quick snap, but he didn't get pushed. It's just like, come on. I don't like the pushing. That's the only thing.
Jerry Jones, of course.
I think that's a part of leadership, is to have some of the guys that have gone before that have been disappointed to share it with everybody involved. For me, it's a reminder. I, too, have been here 23 years. And it is a reminder. I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so having said that, I want me some glory hole. So I have that perspective.
Yeah, I want me some glory holes. So we'll find out if the tush push still stays in effect. It's going to be one of those. I can tell you, it's going to be one of those kind of days. Finally, we're going to end up this morning because everything, as far as trades go, either you're a buyer or you're a seller. And generally speaking, if you're losing, if your season is done, you're selling. And the Giants at 1-5, if they go to 1-6, you have to look at them and say, we're selling. The problem for them with Saquon is he's got a 1-year deal. They didn't want to pay him for this year. I don't know that they're going to want to pay him for next year, knowing that he's already missed half of the season this year. Let's hear what they had to say on Get Up this morning about that.
All right, let's start by giving some love to my man Bartholomew. Last week, he brought up the possibility of a Saquon Barkley trade, and he was summarily mocked by people all over the place. A week later, everyone's talking about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it just makes sense, right? And Saquon's talking about how he doesn't want to move and family. That's just the cost of doing business. But if Saquon is looking from Saquon, the player standpoint, he needs to understand that he's not going to be signed next year. We talked to Joe Shane, and Joe Shane was talking about all the young guys that are going to be on the market, whether it's DeAndre Swift, whether it's Dalvin Cook. It's going to be options. He's going to have less leverage next year than he does this year. But this is an opportunity for him to raise his stock because he's already proven the Giants right by being injured early on in the season and missing 3 games. If he goes somewhere like Christian McCaffrey did last year, and everybody wants to talk about, well, Saquon hasn't been healthy. When Christian McCaffrey was traded, he wasn't a healthy player either. True. So you talk about the compensatory pick that they get, which is third if they just lose him in free agency. Yeah. If you give a second-round draft pick, it's an opportunity to get Saquon Barkley and have that same impact that Christian McCaffrey had.
Is it worth it? Yeah. Is it worth it for somebody?
No, and there's a big difference, Green, because Christian McCaffrey had multiple years on his contract, and under the rules, because he's a franchise player, they can't sign him to an extension. So any team acquiring Saquon Barkley will not give up a pick of significance. So
I like to rebuke that. Last year, the Ravens did the exact same thing with Raekwon Smith, who had an expiring contract. They figured out a way to get him the contract. The mark has already been set by Taylor at $42 million.
Put the picks up on the screen. I asked everyone to just name a team you think should be trying to trade for him. That said, Danny, tell us the likelihood that he will be dealt.
I don't think it's very likely. I'm not sure where this all came from because I haven't heard any chatter around the league about him getting traded. I don't know who's going to be giving up something better than a third-round pick for a running back, which is something that people don't want to trade for right now. Right. Who's making an $8 million salary this year, so you're taking on half of that, right? And now you got to worry about what are you going to do with him after the year? He's going to want a contract. So I don't think that the Giants are going to be able to get enough for him
to make it worthwhile.
Not having him on their team anymore. No, I mean, look, we can sit outside of it and say, you know, but I just think the way the running back market is right now, I don't think teams are eager to part with anything of value, bring in high-priced running backs.
Certain teams value certain things, certain positions. The Baltimore Ravens won 2 Super Bowls in their history. One with Ray Rice, one with Jamal Lewis. They value the running back position, and Saquon isn't a typical running back position. You have Christian McCaffrey, you have Alvin Kamara, and you have Saquon Barkley, guys that can catch the rock and a receiver. Last year he had, over 70 receptions? Yeah. So he's not just a running back. He's a one-off.
If they value the running back position so much, why don't they have one?
Who?
The Ravens.
Because they were trying to pay J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, they all got hurt.
Are you going to pay Saquon?
And they didn't.
Are you going to pay Saquon Barkley, or are you going to pay a guy coming off an ACL tear?
But just to clarify something.
Coming off 100 things.
Just to clarify something. When Roquan Smith was traded, he wasn't a franchise player.
Right.
In this situation, if Baltimore, let's say, acquires Saquon Barkley, Greeny, what they could do, they could say, we'll give you a third-round pick this year, and if we sign him to an extension, we'll give you a third-round pick in 2025. But again, I've been there. If you're the receiving team here, you're not going to give up a pick of significance because you don't know about the extension.
If you're going to be able to sign
on a condition.
All right, in the interest of time, let's just skip the sound bites on Davante Adams. We all heard about his frustration the other day. He's frustrated in the offense in Las Vegas. He's another player whose name will come up. We're now 11 days or whatever it is from the trade deadline. Davante Adams basically has not sounded like a person who's been happy to be in Vegas from the minute he got there. Does it feel likelier to you that he might get traded?
No, because the Raiders are 3-3. The worst they're going to be at the trade deadline
they're not going to trade
5, which is not out of it. And quite frankly, they're probably going to beat the Bears this week and be no worse than.
All right, so we're going to leave it right there. So probably you won't see major players being moved. That's the thing here. And the tush push, I don't think it's going anywhere because Jerry Jones likes pushing in the tush. All right, we got some running around to do before we get ready for our live streams. I hope you guys tune in. We're going to have a ball as always because, it's football. And I will see you guys soon.
Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
All of the current market.
One hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say